Hello, Eric.
Hello there.
Hi, how's it going there?
I'm fine, Les. How are you?
I'm very, very well. Thank you so much for talking to us. And it's not your first trip to Australia by any means. How many times have you come to Australia so far, and what feel do you feel you've got for the country so far?
Well, I think I must have been there at least 6 or 7 times.
Yep.
And I really enjoy being in Australia. I really enjoy Australian music lovers because they're so enthusiastic and appreciative. And I think it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place to be with so many natural wonders and a really inspiring culture for sure.
Yeah, and I guess since leaving your country of birth at age 20, living in Scandinavia for that period, would you say you've got a kind of international perspective, just when it comes to places and people?
Absolutely. I've spent a lot of my adult years away from the United States, where I was born and raised, and meeting the people that I've met through those years and being able to travel to many, many different places and countries has given me some kind of global outlook that I think has influenced just about everything about me, including my music, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, one of the main things that I get from listening to your music is a sense of, transcendence, but also a strong connection with ideas and people, and you certainly had no shortage of incredible influences at a very young age there.
Yeah, it's true. It was an amazing upbringing, being surrounded by so much music and so many marvelous musicians, and I can only say that it's had a huge impact on the musician I've become.
Undoubtedly, and I've been reading quite a lot of your interviews, and you speak very fondly and very touchingly, really, about your strong musical relationship with your father. What do you think were the qualities about him as a musician? How would you describe him?
Well, first of all, a devotion to the culture of the voice that has been consistently passionate all his life. He will be 90 years old tomorrow.
Wow.
And I'm in Vancouver where he lives, yeah.
Yep.
And we had an opportunity to share a stage last night at my gig in Vancouver.
Fantastic.
And he's still singing beautifully.
Wow, that's
still singing beautifully.
incredible.
So I would say that that's one of the greatest gifts he's given me, is just an amazing appreciation for the human voice and its possibilities,
Yeah. That's great to hear that he's still at it, age 90. If only we couldn't all be doing it at that age.
Yeah, I tell you, if I sound anywhere near what he sounds like at his age, I will be overjoyed, because he's taking good care of his health, and he's in great spirits, and his voice just sounds wonderful. Wonderful.
Fantastic.
You would never guess that he's 90 years old hearing him.
Sounds great. And another early influence on your life must have been your godfather, Paul Robeson. Can you tell us a bit about that relationship?
Well, I was only able to actually be around him on rare occasions, but he was a presence nonetheless in my upbringing, because his courage and his music were celebrated in my family all the time.
Yeah.
I have a photograph of him holding me in one palm of his hand and my twin sister in the other palm at our christening, and that photo was kind of an iconic part of my childhood.
Yeah. And, he was also an intellectually, he was physically, tall, strong, athletic, but he was also, he had great intellectual capacity as a lawyer. Did that really mean a lot to you, and do you think that that has basically influenced your own sort of intellectual path in a sense?
Absolutely. Primarily because Paul was my father's friend and mentor to some degree, and his thinking and his take on the world around him really influenced the whole way my parents brought us up. So Paul was a fascinating man, a Renaissance man, if you will, and later, having read quite a few books about him, I got to know more about him and just admired him immensely for who he was and what he actually gave the world.
Indeed. And I guess, you know, he was a living example of dignity at a time when that must not have been all that easy. But, you know, one of the things that comes through, I think, strongly in your own music and everything I've seen and read is you do seem to carry yourself with an astonishing degree of grace that you wouldn't necessarily expect from a hard touring kind of musician, you know, given the sort of frustrations of the road. How do you maintain such, you know, a level and positive demeanor?
Thank you for the compliment. It's something I work on, but it's also something that's been kind of cultivated in my upbringing. My dad and my mom as well, for sure, were people who I feel have tremendous amounts of grace and poise and patience with the world around them. I think they are positive people who have been supported by great friends throughout their lives, and they passed that on to me and my siblings. So, in a way, it's just an extension of my upbringing.
And there seems to be this, you know, when you're telling stories or singing songs about people like Booker White or singing songs about, you know, the 1927 flood and so on, it's, you know, there's a complete transparency of ego, it would seem. You know, you seem to be solely there to deliver a message, which is something that, you know, I would say is fairly unusual.
Well, again, thank you for noticing that. It's something that's important to me, to actually be the story and not overwhelm the audience with the ego needs of the storyteller. You know, it's like the tradition that I'm coming from and that I'm a part of is much bigger than any one personality, even though there were giant personalities associated with it, like Leadbelly and Guthrie and other people. But still, those people, as great as they were as personas, they always put the story and the tradition first, and the culture first. So that's something that I must have just absorbed through osmosis. You know, Pete Seeger is another great example of somebody who really bowed to the great river of song and just became a vessel, you know, for sharing it. And it's a nice way to approach music because it's something huge and something difficult to analyze in terms of quantity. And it's just nice to be a part of something that powerful.